Hello there. As you're probably well aware of by now, the ending is now here. The ending that is in fact the beginning, that is in fact the end, which is a sequel to the beginning, which is in fact a prequel to the end, which is in fact a prequel to the beginning. Because you see, it's very misleading to say that this is the end and that this is the beginning, because this is not the end and this is not the beginning. We're not seeing either of those things because, everyone, there is no beginning and end. I'd like to take you further away from what you think you know about the zombie storyline, because there's an underpinning chapter to the zombie storyline that has never existed. No one's ever talked about it. And this will be the first time I'm going to inject some serum into your brain and inject this idea into your brain. Look at Doris, but don't look at the game. Look at the character bios. Look at the biographies of the characters. Now, I'm not going to give it away. This is something I'd like us to do collectively because it's more fun. There are words in each character bio, literally 4 or 5 words on each, which delete the character they're talking about. They make that character disappear. They make that character non-existent. And that's the most important part of this entire storyline. Because this is a story. This is a story invented to scare children. And I'm here to help you with it. That's my job. And as you're probably very well aware of by now, it's the end of my job doing that. And it's the end of the story. Now, what I'm trying to get at with this elaborate scheme of words is that the story will never end. You can't see that yet. Give it time. Trust me on this because I'm the one. Trust me with that information. What you're going to be seeing, and I'm proud that they named it Origins because my very first album was called Origins and I'm happy about that. But La Tomba, and by the way, we had a screenshot of this an awfully long time ago on our forums, and it's still there, the actual screenshot. It's even in the trailer, so you can go and see it. It's from the trailer. We've got screenshots of the maps. They've been around for a very long time. You can go and see it on our forum. Someone will link you. What we see is something truly organic start. We see a time loop. We see something crafted by the very people you see at the beginning that take them all the way through this series of events to bring them back to the very beginning. Because before, the beginning was Nacht, but in Afterlife I took you to Nacht. I took you back to that very pinnacle, because of course this didn't exist then. I always thought we'd go back to Nacht and that would be our final stand, but we're not doing that. We are going further back. It's not the furthest we've been back, but it's the furthest we're going back without being inside of a continuum. So it's a very complicated idea, but this is the very first point that we see this happen. This is a theory. When the map comes out, I'll find out whether this is correct or not. However, I have a sneaking suspicion in the back of my mind that has again been injected into my mind, that this could potentially be correct. We see our 4 heroes, war criminals, villains, the most obnoxiously horrendous people at the time. Look at their character bios, look at what they've done to Earth. We see them as essentially juveniles entering this battlefield, and you wonder why they turn into what they turn into, because they look fairly kind of bright-eyed innocent, but obviously when we know them, they're rugged. They've been through all of this. The map, I don't know where Origins came from. That's even news to me. That's something that I don't know about. Although, okay, we found out about it yesterday, but I didn't know about Origins. It's not something that I could predict even. I'm not even certain that that's what we're getting, if you know what I mean. And I'm certain now, after seeing what I've just seen, as you've just seen it, that my last video about the escape of a mechanical man is correct. And that's important. That's very important. Because there's something else to do with Maxis, which is, I know, and you can consider the fact that they are all non-existent. These are entities. These are just characters. Even in the game, they are just characters in a storyline. Except Maxis. Maxis is someone that is not tangible. For instance, we've seen a lot of people. We've seen all the characters. We've got to know them. And yet Maxis is this entity that still remains outside. He's on the fringes of our storyline. He's a name that not many people know. And yet I feel like without him, the storyline would be useless, would be inert, it would be intangible, it would be boring. He is the one who is driving the mechanics. You think it's Richthofen, but he's the one driving the mechanics behind the storyline. And he's the one I'm going to be keeping my eye on when it comes to La Tomba and when it comes to Origins. So, what do you think's going to happen? What happens next? Because, as I said, this is a loop. See you soon.
We approach the final curtain. The time for vengeance has come. A trilogy of darkness will end. Extinction follows. And a new sun will rise. A new world will spin. We now dominate the world. Our time is now.
Zombies 3, available from all respectable online outlets.